In this video, I'm going to break down everything that you're going to need to start your clothing brand with the Cricut vinyl cutter and a heat press. My goal for this video is to minimize the time that you're going to be spending researching, trying to find everything that you need to make your clothing brand successful with the equipment that we need. I promise, after watching this video, you're not going to need any other video on YouTube to help you get all the supplies needed. The holidays are coming up, and honestly, for Christmas, this is going to be the perfect gift to either get somebody, or maybe you should just ask somebody for this. I personally feel like every small business, regardless if you have a clothing brand or not, you should have a vinyl cutter and a heat press. I know how annoying, stressful, and difficult it can be trying to find and research everything to get started. That's why I'm making this video. This is the video that I wish I had when I was doing all this research. I'm going to make sure that I can save you the most amount of time as possible. Everything that I'm going to talk about in this video is going to be linked down below in the description. We're going to go over how much everything is and how important it is for you to have it. This isn't going to be a tutorial on how to make clothing. If you want to watch those videos, check out my page. I have a ton of them. This is going to be just a list and a breakdown, so that way you guys can just take notes and make sure you can write everything down that you need. I upload videos throughout the week helping you grow your clothing brand with the Cricut vinyl cutter and a heat press. So if you find value in this video, make sure you hit that subscribe. And if you guys have any questions throughout this whole video, meet me in the comments section. All right, let's get right into it, guys. All right, so the first thing we're going to need is kind of obvious. We're going to need a Cricut vinyl cutter. I personally went ahead and bought the Cricut Explorer Air 2, and it comes in at $199, and honestly, I love this vinyl cutter. It is the most affordable vinyl cutter on the Cricut market. If you plan on just running a clothing brand and cutting regular vinyl, then I highly recommend this one because it is the most budget friendly. I've been using the Cricut Explorer Air 2 for 3 years, and I have no complaints, and I completely love it. So if you're on a budget, I definitely recommend the Cricut Explorer Air 2. It also has Bluetooth capabilities, so that way you can just wirelessly connect all of your devices. Alright, now let's talk about the software that you're going to need to run your Cricut Explorer Air 2. So we're going to be downloading Cricut Design Space. This is actually 100% free, available on your computer and your phone. The reason why I want to highlight that you can use your phone is that way you realize that there is no excuse on why you cannot start your business. You literally don't have to worry about having a laptop. You can do everything on your phone. I've done complete projects on my phone down to designing. And like I said, the app is completely free. So if you don't even have a vinyl cutter yet, you can still go into the App Store, download it, and start practicing creating designs. That way, when you do get your vinyl cutter, you're ready to go. And I know how annoying it is trying to find out what software you should use to design, especially if you don't come from a background where you're already designing things. Cricut Design Space is extremely easy to use, extremely user-friendly, and I recommend it to any beginner. Alright, now you're going to need to get your hands on some quality heat transfer vinyl. This is what we're going to be putting into our vinyl cutter and cutting out our designs, peeling it, and then pressing. I want you guys to keep in mind that I want you to stay away from any cheap vinyl. If you guys buy cheap vinyl, you run a high risk of the vinyl falling off in the wash or even while you're wearing it. If you want your customers to return back to you, I highly recommend to always invest into the highest quality puff print heat transfer vinyl, regular heat transfer vinyl, or glitter heat transfer vinyl, whatever it is that you use to ensure that your customers are always happy. All right, next thing on our list is cutting mats. You're going to need this to load the vinyl into the Cricut Explorer Air 2. Now you can get the Cricut brand cutting mats, but honestly, they are extremely expensive. In my Amazon storefront down below, I have a 6-pack of the 12x12 for under $13. And then I have a 3-pack of the 12x24 mats for $23. I highly recommend getting these off-brand ones because you're going to save a lot of money, and honestly, sometimes the quality is even better. I've been using the same 3 mats for like over 2 years, and honestly, you can just clean them up with some soap and water, just give it a light rinse, and then you're going to be okay for a couple washes, so that way you can always clean it up. All right, next, we're going to need some weeding tools. We're going to use this to make sure that we can weed our vinyl. There's different tools that you can use, and there's no wrong way to use them. It's all up to your preference. I linked down below some tweezer type tools that you can use that honestly work amazing. Like there's this one down below that I listed that has an LED light. Super dope. I highly recommend that one, but plain old tweezers work as well. Just, try out different things and see what works for you. Always be patient when peeling heat transfer vinyl. All right, another important important item that we're gonna need to add onto our list. You're gonna have to buy a heat press. So I personally use the Fancier Studio 15 by 15 for about 3 years. And honestly, for it being under $200, this is like the best high quality user-friendly heat press that you can buy. You want to make sure that you stay away from those 5-in-1s because those are going to break extremely easily on you. And honestly, even though they seem a little bit cheaper, which they're not even that much cheaper, you're going to end up having to replace it, and in the long run you're going to end up spending more money. I recently upgraded my heat press to the 16 by 24, and I just did that because there was times where my prints were a little bit larger than what my 15 by 15 could handle, so I went ahead and made that jump. But that one cost about $379. So if you just want to be a little bit more on the budget friendly side, the 15 by 15 is going to work you wonders as well. Now there's obviously other heat presses that you can buy, but on my page, this is the brand that I use. It's the brand that I started with. Honestly, over the years, I have grown to love it. The build on it is extremely high quality. You feel how sturdy it is. There's no plastic pieces on it. I highly recommend this one for beginners. All right, so we're gonna need to get some Teflon sheets. You can also get a cover for the heat press, and the reason why we're gonna use this is to protect the garment. Now you can get away with not using it, but honestly, a 3-pack of Teflon sheets is gonna be about $8, and the cover for the mat's gonna be about $20. They both work perfectly fine, but for how inexpensive it is, I highly recommend you get this because sometimes when you press it without the Teflon sheet, you're gonna get the little square going around the garment, and you're not gonna want that. It's gonna look extremely bad. You're not gonna be able to get that square out. I highly recommend it. Go ahead and get yourself a Teflon sheet and attach it to your heat press. All right, this one doesn't cost any money, but it's extremely important. I want to make sure that you guys designate a work area for your equipment. Honestly, you just need one wall and about 2 tables. And honestly, if you only have 1 table, figure it out, make it work, but just make sure you designate some type of area for your workspace. This is extremely important, especially to your creativity. You want to make sure you have somewhere where you feel comfortable to create. All right, now you guys are going to need some blanks to start making clothes. Now, I have down below a couple places online that are super reliable where you can order clothes from that are extremely fairly priced. But when all else fails, I like to just run to Michael's, Hobby Lobby, sometimes even Joann's, because you can get some nice, decent Gildan tees for about $3.50, and you can get hoodies for about $13.50. Now, I wouldn't recommend these if you're trying to sell your clothing brand and make some money, only because the quality of them are a little bit on the lower end. But if you're just creating mock-ups or content and you just need something to whip up a design, that's always a go-to for you guys. All right, next we have a t-shirt ruler guide. The pack that I have listed down below is only $5.99. It has a couple sizes. I recommend this for beginners when you're trying to figure out where to place your designs. This is gonna help you decide where your design needs to go. It's gonna have the dimensions out for you, because once you press your design, there's no going back. So you wanna use this to double check your work, and honestly, over time, over a couple months, you're not even gonna need the t-shirt ruler guide, but if you're just beginning, I highly recommend it. All right, you want to make sure you also have a tape measure. This is extremely important. You're going to want to always measure your t-shirts and designs before you type it into Cricut Design Space, because the last thing you want to do is cut your vinyl and realize you either made it too big or too small, because then you end up wasting material, and we don't want that. So make sure you always have a tape measure on standby. All right, next on our list, heat resistant tape. A 4-pack is only going to cost you about $10. Honestly, I've used the same 4 rolls for about 3 years and I still have so much left over. This heat resistant tape is super dope because you can press it and it won't melt, it won't mess up on you, it holds up in the heat. And this is extremely important, especially when you're pressing hats, because sometimes the design falls off, it won't stay on the garment properly, so you're gonna need the tape to help hold it down. So this is always super clutch to have it on standby. All right, this isn't a complete necessity, but honestly, if you're just starting out and you want to avoid burning your hands on the heat press, you can always get some heat resistant gloves or some type of mitt. There's been a couple times where I burned my hand. It wasn't too bad, it healed up pretty good, but it does happen. So if you just want to avoid that completely, just go ahead and get yourself some heat resistant gloves so you just avoid that 100%. All right, you also want to have some scissors or a rotary fabric cutter. This is extremely essential in your workplace, especially when you're trying to cut vinyl or sometimes even garment garments with the fabric cutter. All right, and the last thing on our list is gonna be a folding mat. I don't care how good you think you are at folding, you're not gonna be able to fold 100 shirts in a row and have it be exactly the same every time. When you're trying to fold up a bunch of shirts, you want them to be extremely symmetrical because it's just gonna look a lot better and more professional. So please always use a folding mat. Don't avoid trying to use this. I'm telling you, it's gonna look a lot better. Now, the last few items on our list are just gonna be items to package up our t-shirts, like poly bags, stickers, things of that nature. Like I said, everything is gonna be linked down below in the description. So in my Amazon storefront and down below, I did add a couple items that we didn't talk about, and that's just because I don't think it's a complete necessity, but if you have the extra budget and you wanna just add to your workplace, go ahead and check out the rest of the items down below. Also, if there was something that I missed or something that you guys can share, go ahead and comment that down below and let's go ahead and help each other and network. If you ended up finding value in this video, like I said, hit that subscribe for me. If you have any questions about any of the stuff we talked about, meet me down below in the comment section. I'll see you guys next video.